Friday Sin here, and we're going to be reviewing the Hyakuri from the Iron-Blooded Orphans line. So now these ones are actually breaking the mold of the previous Grays and Gundam Barbados, so they build a bit differently. This one is a unique build. It still kind of has the inner frame as far as the legs go. The arms don't have the inner frame. They're closer to standard construction. There isn't any ab crunch because the way it's built is much more solid parts. So we'll get into all of that. We'll start off with coloring. As far as coloring goes, everything's almost perfect. The gray parts, according to the artwork, should be a little more steel blue, and they're a bit darker on the actual model. All the other colors are good. There's some stickers on the top here for effect parts. The front ports here should be colored black, and the ports up here in the back should also be colored black. And on the back side, these three parts here should be colored gray. There's some more stickers on the side here, and then when we pull down the arms, there'll be some white stickers on those. So that's it for coloring, so let's go ahead and get into talking about articulation. So just to make things easier, we're going to take off the backpack, but before we do that, we'll talk about the articulation of the backpack. These dark gray parts here that cover up the shoulders, those lift up about that much there. These parts here can come off completely, or you can keep them attached since they wedge in there, and you can kind of just swing them up and down. But they are just loose parts that just fit in with a bit of tight grip there. The only other interesting part on the thruster is this cap here comes off to reveal another slot. Now in this manual it says nothing about anything going in there, so we'll probably see an extra parts later, or maybe it'll interact with another suit later on. So let's go ahead and pop off the top. So once you pop off the backpack, the suit can stand on its own without the stand, but at the same time it also looks pretty plain. So now we've taken that off, and the stand that it was on earlier does come with the kit to help it stand up. So we'll go ahead and start looking at the arms. So articulation on the arms are on the usual ball joint, but the interesting thing is they have a gray part that goes in there. And so you can see there, and so that's how you get your side lift. So it lifts all the way up like that. Now rotating it, especially when it has the backpack on, is kind of a pain because the squareness is bumping into everything and the arms can pop out pretty easily. But yeah, that's your usual ball joint. There's some forward motion there. So nothing impressive there. You have a good arm swivel there, and you can pull off the arm, and it's your usual peg in. But that in itself is part of the gray armor part rather than the brown armor part rather than the gray part. My hand's in the way. Part of the armor part rather than the gray part down in the bottom there. So like I said before, there's some white stickering on the arm. So on the lower arm, you have a sticker for each side. And then on the bend there, you also have white stickers. They can be a little bit of a pain just because they're the kind that you have to bend around to get them to grip well, but they look good and they haven't been a problem for me so far. So as far as the arm goes, you already have that rotation, and you do have a double 90-degree bend. So that's good to know there. Hand is on your usual universal ball joint. It's pretty tight because instead of going into a polycap or usually that half-curved connector piece we see, they're going straight into this hard plastic piece. So they turn a little bit tight, but with this suit, there's no real melee weapons or anything to do unique poses with, so it's not that big of a deal. There's no ab crunch. There's a little bit wiggle back and forth because you have, of course, that ball joint like you do with everything. You can get some side to side out of the upper part. The white part here keeps it from the lower part getting any side-to-side movement. So it's pretty much a stand-up build. It is a unique build. It's still different than what we've seen in most things. On the back, there's nothing there really on the back. You have 4 connector ports up here to connect to the backpack. The head is on your standard double ball joint, nothing new there. Going into the legs here. The arm just decided to come off. Going to the legs here, we do have a nice double bend, so that's the full range of motion on your legs there. These legs are quite unique. I'm going to go ahead and pull them apart so you can see why. So they have the ball joint there, so the leg itself goes into the ball joint. However, that ball joint piece slides onto your universal hip connector. So again, this is one of those instances where you have kind of a double workaround, where this could be used for older ones and newer ones. So that part there that I just showed you has that hydraulic piece, so that helps it move around. Because it has a ball joint that's as far out as you can go, you can't really go inside, and you can't go that much inside because, again, of that hydraulic part that just kind of moves around with the leg. Now, if you get away from that hydraulic part, you can go pretty much 360 all the way around until something gets in your way. There's no rotation on it, just that ball joint there. The feet have no rotation, but the feet do close up like that, and so you do that for the flight mode. And it is, with such tiny feet, it is surprisingly stable on here. And that's pretty much all there is to this suit. It looks nice, but there's not a lot of bells and whistles. So that's it for the articulation. We'll go into the guns. So the guns have a little bit of their own articulation. So the guns that come with it are these right here. These fins here can swivel out, and that's what you do when you're in flight mode. The handle is on a swivel, so it can go both sides. And the whole thing folds up. And then it'll just sit inside the hand, inside the flight mode, inside the backpack. And now it does just slot in, but the hands do hold it pretty well. It feels nice and tight. It's not bumping around. And it's still nice and tight in that flight mode. It's not wiggling free or anything. So those are the standard weapons. The only extra 2 parts that come with it are these 2 parts here, which are the shield parts. So that square peg there goes in the arm, and they are arm specific. If you can see the little slot there, matches up with that peg there. And the arms, as you can see, do pop off, unfortunately. They're not super easily popped off, but it happens. So after you plug that part in there, you take off the back part here, and it has that circle peg there. So you can attach it on the side or on the back, and it acts as a shield or melee weapon. So that's pretty much it for that. And for the last little gimmick, this part on the backpack comes off to reveal 2 holes there. And those holes are for taking the parts from the MS Worker Space part and putting them in there. So then you can attach them as weapon racks. That is pretty much all there is to the suit. So it's a nice build. It is different from what we've seen before. And it's not exactly going all the way back to the Universal Century build. The articulation on the legs is a bit limited, but the main point of this suit is the flight mode. Now, I haven't really seen the series yet, so I don't know if this truly does everything it can in the series. But as far as the model kit, it looks good. And considering it has that flight mode and that big booster, it's going to take up a little bit of space. But I can't imagine that you would want it to do much more than it can. So I really can't see any downsides with this kit. Unless you're someone that likes to pose them a lot in kicking mode. In a kicking pose, you can't really do side kicks with this. But this does everything it should. The only true downside I have is, again, it's a little hard to rotate the arms while they're in there. rotate them back and that. And they can pop out easily if you're playing with it. But again, if you're just posing them, putting on the shelf, this is a great suit. Minimally in color, you can color the eyes, the black parts. So it looks great. So if you're liking this series so far and you're liking the looks of these mechs, it's a good buy. I can't find anything wrong with it. Dissuade someone who likes it from buying it. So yeah, if you like it, go ahead and buy it. I hope my review helped you guys. Let me know in the comments, and have a great one.